Welcome everybody to Two Man Power Trap, the black man starting the nerd lifestyle. I'm Nicholas, Mr. Go with the Flow.
And I'm the man with the plan, Maurice.
And today we got a special guest in the building. Guest, introduce yourself.
Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, Michael Bostic, a.k.a. Kill Classic. What's good?
Hey, what's up, what's up? And we're back with another edition of the Blerd By Nature Podcast. What is up, family?
Yo, what's good, people?
Ain't shit, man. We chilling. What's up?
Chilling. All right, so let's step into vibe, guys. What y'all been up to this week?
Work has been a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's just been work. It's just been work all day, all week.
Shit. So, co-host, what's really been going down at work? What people annoying you with?
It's not even the people. It's just the constant shift of shit happening all over the place. Like this week we're doing this. The next week we're working on this. I got like 5 projects I'm working on simultaneously, and it's just a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of heavy messing around with people and whatnot.
Yeah, it's a lot of people that I don't like. The other parts of the business and the people that work in them. And I have to work with them. So
yeah, it sounds like another round of dealing with a whole bunch of foolish people not doing their shit.
Pretty much.
Another one of them weeks.
Sounds like my life.
Well, I was just about to ask Mr. Heel Classic, like, what's going down from your work week?
I basically run Home Depot, so if it's not for me, that place would fall apart.
I believe it. I that one I know truly well.
So that's been my week, putting out fires.
Yeah, trying to hold everything down. I saw your post about what was going down with people not preparing to put in fridges or
Yo, so it was wild. It was funny because I had this lady who was demanding like somebody come and help her put her stuff out in the car. So I was like, yo, I got you. I don't got nothing going on. Get to her car. She got to take everything out the trunk, put the seats down, take the stuff out the back seats, put that in the front. And I'm just sitting here like, yo, you made all of that commotion about somebody coming in to help you. And you're not even ready?
That's what I was about to say. I'm like, so you was making all this commotion, all this business, and you ain't flipped nothing down. You know what's coming in. Like, what
you knew you was coming in here for this freezer. Like, it's just wild, bro.
That's wild. See, people, it's always working with people and being stressed out by people. People want to always yell at you like you ain't doing your job or something like that. Like they ain't ready or nothing.
It's a fact.
You try to ask them the third degree or about left or right. They don't know what the hell going on.
Yeah, that's a fact.
All right, but beside the work week of this week, how was y'all weekends that passed?
Oh,
well, for me and co-host, it was.
Oh yeah, we did
Comic-Con.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, you're all right. Nice. How was that for y'all?
So going back all the way to Friday, we was at Brooklyn with a bunch of our other friend podcasts and stuff like that. They was having an anime karaoke night. We got to see a whole bunch of people that we haven't seen in the podcast community for like dumb long and stuff like that. Reconnect.
Yeah,
It was a fun night. Everybody was singing their heart out and stuff like that. It was a fun time. We was drinking. We was passing the tequila shots and shit like that. It was a good time. And then Brooklyn Comic-Con came around, and we've been there before and stuff like that. But it's always good to catch up with also another set of people that we haven't seen in dumb long. They brought wrestling back. We was hoping low key that Mr. Black got a contract and he started reffing out there. But yeah, they brought the wrestling back in Brooklyn Comic-Con and that was cool. I think one of the guys that was wrestling was it Smooth Black Man's partner?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I saw him there.
Okay.
And then a couple of people that probably was trainee wrestling, something like that. But it's always nice to have wrestling collab with the nerd community of all kinds, comic
that's
people,
a fact.
anime people. We all kind of in that big bubble and stuff like that. And it's always nice to see, recording the videos, you see people in cosplay all around, wrestling going down and shit like that. And the wrestlers is all hyped to see the cosplay. I saw some Mandalorian decked out in the Puerto Rican flag and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
that's a collaboration of all that stuff that was going down over the weekend and stuff like that. So it was super lit.
That was fire. That's
fire.
It was
a good time. What? How did you enjoy yourself, Cole?
Oh, I enjoyed it. Yo, like I said, I caught the last match.
Judy
that was
the
out
one
there.
who told me about the last match going on. So shout outs to him.
Yeah. It was him versus some dude named Candyman, and it was hilarious.
Good. I heard Jack got dubbed.
Oh yeah, Alfred was cheering the heel on the whole time. The heel with full heel on him. I'm cracking up.
How you supposed to do it?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but the interaction was good. Like I said, I enjoyed what we saw there. The cosplays was cool, and it was just a good time.
Yeah, it was a good vibe, chilling. Then Sunday was kind of wrestling and come back in, right?
Yeah, which I regretted every moment that it got closer.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I mean,
look at what you saw. But what about you, Mr. Hill Classic? How's your weekend?
Man, my weekend is always just spending time with my son, bro. So it's always
Good.
just being with family and stuff. My dad's in town, so we got to catch up and stuff like that. Yeah, so it was a pretty dope weekend.
That's good to hear. yeah, all the generations coming together, enjoying some good, right?
It's a fact. It's a fact.
Yep. All right, so stepping out of vibe, guys. I wanted to bring this off the cuff. So we on the off the cuff discussion. I wanted to bring this to the table specifically because we have our special guest here. But this has been something that's been spinning around. We've been noticing about last couple of months, and I wanted to talk to both of you guys about this. Now I wanted to talk about the fall of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
You know we gotta talk about.
I know.
You know we gotta talk about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson real quick.
I want to know you guys' opinions, and I want to know where you believe that it started to all crumble in the eyes of the Hollywood empire and stuff like that. Like, The Rock was on a good perception, but as of late, the superstar aura and all that stuff have been falling down around him. Stock been dropping. So I want to leave the floor for Mr. Hill Classic first. Talk your shit.
He's a very interesting character only because he was so polarizing as a wrestler, right? Mm-hmm. And then even more so as an actor now that he kind of does these different like larger than life superhero roles. But he's really an asshole in real life. Like, excuse my language, but it's like really just he's not really a good person. I mean, he comes in, he tries to take stuff over, and then he leaves it how it is, and then it moves on. You see XFL. I mean, everything loses money in the first year, so I'm not gonna really say XFL did bad because I heard really good things about it. So we can just see how that grows within the next few years. I'm actually kind of excited for that as one of his projects, but
I'm still I'm still sad in general that it couldn't come back to New York because
I
remember the original stuff. You know, Janelle and the whole crew was ready to mob out for that,
right?
And then it switched up, so I was already feeling salty off of that.
That's a fact. That's a fact. But I think more so. Oh wow, let me hold tight. I think where he started going wrong was he started believing that he was bigger than the things that he was doing. Himself as a person was bigger than the projects and everything else, and it just started to become an ego thing, especially with the Black Adam thing. It's just, we waited 15 years for that. Yeah. That's what we waited for. Like, it's wild. It's a wild thing.
I remember when he made that announcement at the award show, like, dumb long ago. We was scratching and clawing for this for so long, and then in the meanwhile, we saw all these other great movies hit drop. By the time homie was ready for this movie, that movie belonged about 15 years ago.
Right. The movie we got was the movie that we should have got 15 years ago.
Yep.
We didn't need that now. Yep. You know what I'm saying? He just really... I don't know. I give him a lot of shit, and I just do it just because it's funny.
Yeah.
But I think his downfall was when him and Vin got into it, and he tried to make it seem like Vin was the bad guy, and it was really him.
Yep.
And we all kind of fell into that hole because it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
True.
We know him more than we know Vin Diesel, you know what I'm saying? Like intimately. Mm-hmm. So when that came out, we was all like, oh man, Vin Diesel, man, why you do that to Rock, blah blah blah. Whole time The Rock was just being a jerk whole time.
Also keep in mind, around that, the perception for The Rock was like he was untouchable. He was the ultimate Hollywood nice guy. He was, stopping at every place to sign autographs and smile, and had the positivity rolling and stuff like that. Like, nobody had a problem with The Rock per se, unless like small corners and stuff like that. So people was gonna back The Rock anyways, regardless of the wrestling background.
Facts.
But yeah, The Rock was definitely showing off like that main character syndrome, where like everything he tried to pull up for, he had to be numero uno.
He had to be number one.
He couldn't take up that player 2 control at all. He was player 1 all through.
And it was just like, you came into the Fast and Furious franchise and then really tried to make, like, even now he has his own movie coming out of this. It's not Hobbs and Shaw anymore. It's just Hobbs.
Yeah, that's
just
weird.
like, come on, bro. Like, what are we doing? Like, are you serious?
If the dynamic that we're already building in separate movies wasn't enough carry off it to like spin off, I don't know how him standing alone, nobody else is
right. And I mean,
good.
even so, this time last year he was on some. I'm never rejoining the. So y'all don't even worry about that. That's never gonna happen. Mm-hmm. Hey, come on, bro. Why would you do that?
Yeah, man. Co-host, what's your thoughts on?
I don't know. The rumbling started with the whole thing with Vin.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's when it started, and it's just been bubbling ever since. Black Adam was like that last kind of spark.
Oh yeah, that was definitely like the heavy crumble where like TikTok videos was coming out, and everybody was like, you know what, it was right all along. You see how he's trying to muscle in. I mean, what was it? Zachary Levi talked about the whole Shazam franchise, especially the sequel that we saw. It all like fell around itself because of him not trying to play ball.
Right. They wanted him to make a cameo. He like refused. He only wanted to work with Super. I'm like, yo, bro, how do you have a Black Adam movie and not have Shazam involved in some way?
It's crazy because his name is kind of surrounding the credentials, so he like pulled out or reneged like on a heavy part of they was already putting him in there. So
right.
it was really damaging. Like for Zachary Levi to come on Instagram like while the movie was out and just explain all the shit that fell down around it was already proof that somebody wasn't playing ball heavy enough. And
correct.
He was like, it's definitely The Rock.
That's wild. It's such a terrible situation.
Yeah, that was just awful all around. It's just like, yo.
Yeah, and that was like that. The craziest part about it is that was around DC's last straw. So it was last hope for it to pick up stuff before they decided to switch over. So now it's like a perfect storm of The Rock coming in and trying to promise all this stuff, especially bringing back Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill thought he had a new job and shit like that.
Thought he had a job, bro.
He came back. He was ready to, suit up as Superman. And then James Gunn and the whole regime took over and stuff like that. And they said, nah, that's not rolling. Like within the next weekend, he was like, nah, that's not it. He's getting tossed out. And then all the blame is looking towards The Rock because it was all around his agency and stuff like that. And that didn't work out. So you costed multiple people jobs and shit like that. Shit was getting crazy. Like it was a big mess that fell around the perfect time where DC was pretty much changing. And everybody was like, all right, so Black Adam's kind of the mark.
Dwayne is the biggest villain / heel in DC
currently
at this point.
For the DC EU, now turned it into DCU.
DCU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
He's just, I don't know, bro. I feel like he had such a good run of movies. Yeah. It just got to him. It just got to his head.
Yeah. I mean, the highest paid actor out there. I mean, that would, strike anybody's ego at some point, even the nicest guy and something like that. It's a well-deserved honor, but like, yeah, come on, bro. I mean, highest paid actor. He was rocking. He had the TV. Like, let's talk about it. Like you said with the XFL situation. I mean, it's the first year comeback and stuff like that. You wanna kind of test the waters. It was in the middle of the pandemic that he bought it, and they was trying to build up all the way to the point out of the pandemic.
Correct.
People can show up and stuff like that. But in general, you're gonna hear that in the mix of all the stuff that's happening. Young Rock was taking over. It was highest rating on NBC and getting seasons after seasons. Then it just gets canceled out of nowhere. Another thing, like The Rock's popularity around like that Black Adam really started to crumble. People agreeing with this, and then the return to the Fast and Furious, franchise after there was like a chat or conference happened over last summer where they squashed the beat. Nobody said anything about that, but back in good graces, and he shows up in the end credits and stuff like listen, he's trying to find the good graces he can find to build his way back up. You think he gonna come back to wrestling to build some good graces back?
No. They couldn't pay him enough.
True.
They couldn't pay him enough. He'd risk too much, and he'd risk too much doing that for Hollywood.
After the last time with the whole John Cena and the
right.
Cost them backways amount of filming and stuff. I can see that, and then plus on top of it, it's just sad because with the Young Rock series getting canceled and they making that whole tease about the Rock and Roman thing situation pretty much happening at WrestleMania, and then that not happening as well, just kind of feel like a weird detriment to that series as well.
Yeah, definitely was.
The man been taking the L's and he done went crawling back to fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He went where he's gonna make the most money at.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and he's gonna get the most eyes somewhere. So that's obvious.
Right, he's already an established and loved character in that series, so it's like, I can come back and make this bread.
And it's also like they say, this is like the finale section. So you would want to put in all your characters that you have forward, pretty much.
Right.
He was kind of like the last missing piece.
I couldn't see them making a movie without him, to be honest with you. So I was like, they gotta at least throw something at him that would make him want to come back. Yeah. So I'm glad they did.
So that's the talk of this week. So I'm sliding that off the board. And before we hit the main event, we're going to go a little nerd and reboot that week. Okay. So real quick, co-host, let's talk about our non-spoiler review on the Transformers Rise. What do you think?
I was here for the jokes.
Yeah. So it's like a movie of two halves, kind of. Like it's one part straight up like New York, like 94 New York, where the soundtrack is really nice. It goes into 94 hip hop, goes through like Tang and just like like various off hip hop and really enjoy the soundtrack what they working with. That was pretty fun. And then like the other half is like they're off on Peru with all the action really bases itself in there. But like the first half is all the jokes and then kind of the serious element of New York. So that was good part. I like the mixture. There's been years and years of like Michael Bay era Transformers movies. This got like a hint of it, but it's more of a story. They started it with like the Bumblebee movie and stuff like that, and they're working off of that. They don't know if they want to mix the timelines or what else going on. But so far it's I think overall it was a fun movie, fun kind of summer blockbuster to add itself in. Nothing too crazy that you gotta like it's got to be like must see or anything like that. But it was definitely like overall I think fun. What you think, Cole?
I wasn't feeling Optimus Prime in this movie.
Oh, okay. Well, he annoyed you too much?
He was there, kind of.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
To me, Optimus Prime is always like a staple. Like him and Captain America is kind of like the same ilk to me. Like giving
no, I could go for that.
Giving speeches and readying the troops and stuff like that, and trying to keep everything in order. He's the stoic character where everything got to bounce off.
I know something just felt off about him. Turned into a punk. Basically. I
feel like that's dependent on the early states of him, because I feel like later on, if they're trying to mix with the Michael Bay timeline, I guess that's why he was more easygoing. In the early parts, he mad stingy and shit like that. So I guess that's kind of the level they going for pretty much, because he was definitely giving like asshole vibes.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I like it.
It's like early. It's like early on him trying to believe and trust in human. Like he's just here and he's like, I don't fuck with humans. I don't want to be messed up with nothing. And then it's a contrast between him in '94 and then him later on in like the early or the late 2000s where he meets the Shia LaBeouf character, like a bit more easygoing and stuff like that. So you'll see more of his detest and why he's annoyed and shit like that, because he got mad scenes of him being annoyed.
All right, I gotta definitely check it out. I kind of lost it for the Transformers series with the Mark Wahlberg ones.
Oh no, trust me. That one I believe is when they hit the point where it was too crazy. Like they was talking about the Transformers was around during the Knights at a Round Table and all that.
Right. That was wild.
Listen, after that point, they started. That's when they understood that they needed to mix the whole shit up, and that's why they did this whole reboot. Also, there's like a huge swerve towards like the end of the movie that like nobody expects. So like, just go in there knowing something wild about to happen that's gonna open up for the next probably like series of.
Now that I like
that. Like I will definitely hype that up, that something happens at the big that'll open up a whole aspect of shit. So So I'm not saying this has got to be like something like major on the list to watch. It's a fun watch and a big shocking surprise that you're like, what the fuck at the end. Pretty
okay. Definitely got to check it out.
Definitely put that. So other than that, next on the docket, for everybody that's a fan of the Black Mirror series, it's back on Netflix. So season 6 dropped this morning. So everybody's back on that. We was waiting a couple years for them to start cooking. It was during the pandemic, so Black Mirror decided to calm down because society was going through hell already. So Black Mirror wanted to calm down, and now that we eased off of the pandemic and shit like that, they're ready to come back to mind freak us with a whole bunch of like, I think it's like 5 episodes, so a whole bunch of wild stories on that. So that's lit. Check out. You're a fan of Black Mirror. Next on the docket, McDonald's is doing their promo out of nowhere. They brought back one of their classic characters, Grimace, and he's going through like a birthday special or whatnot.
All right, so, they just made a game or something for him, didn't they?
Yeah. There's like a retro game that popped up that you can put on Steam or your computer, or they say you can even play it through your Game Boy Advance, emulator or something like that.
Wow.
But right now they doing a special at McDonald's. They got like this specific Grimace shake and fries and your choice of like a 10 nuggets or a Big Mac or something like that. But the combo, I tried the Grimace shake, pretty good.
Okay.
You definitely can't get it by itself, which is stupid, but I guess they trying to get your whole combo out of that. So I don't know how long it's there, but it's for a limited time. So that's running over McDonald's.
They bring in the snack wraps, huh?
No, they trying everything but bringing back them snack wraps. But we know,
you don't want them.
Listen, if you go international, that's the only place you finna find these snack wraps.
Snack wraps, that's a fact.
They in the London area. Speak from experience of me and Mr. Man with the Plan. This like when you go out international, they coming out with specials. They like wrap of the day for $2. like they set you up good if you international. If you in the local McDonald's, they never respect
them. The international McDonald's make the U.S. McDonald's trash.
Every single international McDonald's is fire. I think I saw one from Italy where they serve like the McWings and shit like that. That
That's
mixes
wild.
like pizza sauces and stuff, shit together with like wings and stuff. I'm like, bro, the American McDonald's is the worst McDonald's ever. Every other spot has amazing like to the location meal and deal. They're all so much better. We have the basic of the basic just because we live around here. It's wild. Like everybody else pretty much got all that we have on the menu plus they special.
Crazy.
Yep. So on top of that, so the creator of like series like Samurai Jack and Primal, and he used to work on Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab. Gendy Tartakovsky, he's coming out with, he coming out with a rated R movie, animated movie called Fixed. So that's supposed to be. So we looking out for the teaser of that.
Didn't something just happen with him recently?
Yeah, he came out. So there's a show on Max right now, which is also on Adult Swim. It's called Unicorn Warriors Eternal. Right now it's going on. It's a pretty fire show. He's got a new one out. It's on the concept of these warriors fighting evil. They get reincarnated each and every time they stop evil, and it like shows up itself, and they just get they take over, like their souls are preserved in this machine called Copernicus, and every time they gotta rise again, there's like certain people throughout time where Copernicus shows up and he blasts their soul inside the new person body that connects pretty much with the body and host, and then they become the new warriors of that time until they defeat the evil, and then their souls get put back in. It's a nice concept that you can just play with over time.
Right. There's a lot you could do with that.
It's super cool. I think right now there's like 7 episodes out on Mac Watch, and it updates every Friday after. So far the series is nice. Got great animation, fights, crisp from Gendy style and shit like that. It's really, Gendy's always good. So we got that. On the next docket, Pixar got issues. So this Elemental movie they got coming out this week.
Right.
I heard it's not selling.
I heard it looks trash.
It's not doing good in reviews.
Oh boy!
Like people are so invested in the Spider-Verse movie that people are starting to get sick of the plain old animation, and we finally hit the era where people online all over Twitter I'm seeing is getting sick of Pixar animation. Like we finally hit that point where Pixar and Disney ain't the goal no more. People looking at that, they was looking at like this Elemental movie, and the reviews is coming out saying it's basic for adults, and kids might not understand the concepts that they're trying to sell at them, and overall it's a choppy movie. And the look of it, I mean, a lot of people keep making jokes about Pixar movies, talking about how they put the feelings in everything. What if feelings had feelings? What if the dog had feelings? Now this movie is selling us on what if the elements has feelings, pretty much, or some shit like that. So people like this came out kind of like Pixar's their summer blockbuster, trying to return to films and stuff like that, because over the pandemic they dropped a lot of movies like on Disney Plus, and this was their first time back in the movie theater officially and stuff like that, and it's not going well. Projections got this movie looking low on sales. Just this kind of came out at a bad time with Spider-Verse and all the other good blockbusters. I mean, Flash is dropping this week. The Blackening is dropping this week during like Juneteenth and shit like that. Like so much is not working towards.
I feel like the marketing for the movie was trash. Like I only feel like I seen like real trailers for it in the movie theaters. So I feel like if you wasn't in the movie theaters, you didn't really see it.
You're right.
I didn't start seeing stuff on TV until recently, maybe like last week.
And there you go. I mean, I don't know if they lost the mindset of how to market since the pandemic, and they've been putting straight things on Disney Plus and whatnot. But like, I feel like Pixar is just selling this movie to take an L at this point, because I already saw, like, before Elemental popped out, they dropped teaser for their next movie already dropping like next year. So it already sounds like they're not even waiting for this to project the sales, and they're like, well, we already got this coming out next year, just in case if y'all ain't, fucking.
You're not satisfied, right?
Exactly. Like I saw the trailer for, I think, Elio, something about a boy gets sent to an alien homeworld, trying to be I think they think he's the supreme leader of Earth or something like that. But that teaser trailer already dropped before Elemental dropped, which means that already feels like, don't worry about this movie, y'all can watch it and pass this by, but we coming out with some more heat next year.
So I guess it sounds sounds like they know it ain't clicking and they just trying to sweep it under the rug. It's like here,
Pretty
it's
much.
here.
It sounds like they're already cutting their losses and they're
let's make the money we gonna make from this and then move on.
Pretty much. That's what it feels for a teaser trailer to already come out like early on in the week before the movie even dropped. That already sounds like y'all cutting y'all losses.
Yeah.
Because like first hand reviews had this at like okay, mid, and stuff like that, and that's not Pixar's MO. They trying to be like top of the top, but you can't do that with like Spider-Verse over there. People losing their mind over Spider-Verse. That's kind of hard to, especially when you have a movie that takes on so many different animation styles and shit like that. That's super hard to compete if you're stuck with.
Right.
So on the contrary, Disney Animation is adding on shows and returning with a whole bunch of stuff, because for a while their animation shows have been kicking out and stuff. They started to pick up back on their IP, which I talked to a co-host about this, but they're picking up back on their IP with Winnie the Pooh, which me and co-hosts have been chatting about this. But so what happens after many years of holding an IP like Winnie the Pooh or Bambi or something like that, like after 100 years, I think it goes back in the public domain.
Right.
And what people have been doing with certain public domains like Winnie the Pooh, they like to instead of coming up with something creative, they like to take the IPs that used to like run for children and they want to turn it into like horror movies or something like that. So like last year a movie called Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey came out, and it's like it was made by a production looking like there was like college level budget or something like that. Like it put all the money in like the gore and all that stuff, because I watched it, and what basically the movie is sold by is like just Winnie and Pooh and Piglet, basically the last surviving members of the 100 Acre Wood after they just ate Eeyore and stuff like that, and they're hunting these college kids that walk up on the 100 Acre Wood, and it just becomes like a usual slasher film with just random gore and stuff like that, because people like to take children's IP and turn it into some horror classic. Like,
yo man, Eeyore can't win, bro.
Nah, not at all. And the funny part about it is we had a funny interaction on Twitter with the film's Twitter. Like somebody put a shout out to us on one of our previous episodes of reviewing it, and then the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey Twitter account got a handful of it and started commenting back on it, trying to sell the movie off of us, which was extra hilarious when we saw that shit. So I'm pretty sure Disney saw their IP being used in a mess, and it was like, we got to bring that shit back. Yeah. So they bring that shit back for I think their Disney Junior series for kids, and they want to like capture the magic back, and they want to bring back Winnie the Pooh for children. So they got one of that series coming out, and then I think their current Mickey Mouse series they have going on is having a big series finale movie where they're fusing it together with Steamboat Willie Mickey from the 50s and stuff like that.
Oh wow! It's
supposed to be the finale of the new generation of Mickey coming together with the old generation. That's supposed to be a mixture of a whole bunch of shit. So that should be fire. And they're coming out with a whole bunch of different like animated. They're trying to kickstart their animation stuff because they realized they were losing out on that element for a while.
That's where their money was at.
Yeah,
that's where their money was at. The animation.
You would think Disney, not lose out on that pretty.
Yeah. So Mr. Blood and Honey needs to be stopped. I'm glad Disney stepped in.
It's crazy because he's coming out with a sequel and he's making a Bambi horror.
He need to leave Bambi alone. And he's not doing this.
And he's doing Peter Pan. Like all the horror ones that's gonna come out in the next couple of years is all done by the same studio, which is gonna be a mess.
Wow.
I don't know how the hell they keep getting this budget for this, but they're gonna keep making this work for some reason. Yeah. So onwards on something I'm excited with. I'm excited. I've been seeing the new teasers of it come around, but on Disney Plus on July 5th they got an African animation anthology series called Kizai Moto, which I've now seen teasers of it. They're saying on July 5th there's gonna be like 10 short stories coming out as it's from different animation studios all across Africa, where it's gonna show Afrofuturism in their animation and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is exactly when people talk about we want to see black stories, original black stories. You got like 10 coming on Disney Plus, which is a big streaming service to sell to everybody that wants to see it. And I always love anthology series because you don't like one, you can find anything out of the 10 shorts that they got there, and whichever one gets like the biggest to work on, maybe that's the studio that Disney wants to work on to make a full series out of it. That's just, I mean, it's given a whole bunch of people from Africa like opportunities and big stories to tell that you haven't seen on usual Western stuff. So it's a huge opportunity that I love to see that Disney putting money.
Yeah, facts, definitely.
So definitely when that drop on July 5th, everybody gotta hop on that and watch that for sure.
Facts.
So we got that. July 2nd. 7th. I think Max is supposed to be dropping their. Now I showed co-host this, but they dropping their new Superman series, and the Superman series look like anime.
What is that? Superhero Man of Tomorrow or something like that?
I think it's Adventures with Superman.
Or something like that. Yeah.
But I think it's behind the studio behind it is the same studio I think that worked on that last Voltron series that came on Netflix, and then it also gives me like Invincible vibes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got Invincible vibes off of that for sure.
Definitely, and the animation, like I sent co-host a video of the opening, and the opening looks straight up like anime. This shit sound like anime, it look like anime. Like they make a Superman mad relatable and shit like that. I'm hyped. I like just after I just binged a whole bunch of the classic Superman series, and I'm not gonna lie, I used to rid that shit off for filth because I was a Batman mark back in the day, and I used to watch Batman for the most part. But watching the classic Superman series, that shit was
very good series.
That shit was literally jokes.
Very good series.
That shit was jokes as hell.
It's a very good series. Very underrated series. The people don't give it the love that it really. Yeah, it's like what, 3 seasons, 2 seasons, something like that.
I was sitting down ready to watch more, and then by the time season 3 ended, I was like, oh, but didn't y'all get Batman like 6?
But you gotta remember, Batman was on for like 3 seasons before Superman came on. It was on like 3-4 seasons before they even changed the animation style. Like it was on for a good like 3-4 years before Superman even came into the picture as a cartoon.
You're right. When I was making up the numbers and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That's why Batman had the crossovers and stuff like that. And I mean, the next thing that they were working on in the next couple of years, Justice League series.
Right.
Yeah, I remember Batman was one of the big 3 at the time. Him, Spider-Man, and X-Men. So
yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. So that was, especially with their intros and everything. So that was definitely working to that. So it's nice to see a different style and taking on Superman. Superman about to get this big plus between this and then James Gunn coming in with the
movie,
with the new movie in 2025 and stuff like that. Also heard James Gunn said right after I'm finished with Superman, I'm going back into Peacemaker 2. So he loves himself some John Cena.
Oh, that's a fact.
So where they don't like The Rock, they love John Cena. That's for sure.
So John found his niche.
Oh, John found his niche, something strong. After that second Suicide Squad movie dropped, James Gunn was like, that's my right-hand man there.
Yeah.
So Cena know that. And then speaking of the DCU, James Gunn had come out and said that Blue Beetle that's dropping in August is supposed to be kind of low-key the official start of the DCU. He's supposed to be the official first hero kicking us off, right? So that's another plus for Blue Beetle coming out in August. But that'll be a watch out. And then speaking of more pluses on Superman, they just on the end of superhero shows happening on CW, they just canned Gotham Knights because that was a mess altogether with whatever the hell they're trying to work with. So after like one season of Gotham Knights, they got that the hell up out of there, and they renewed Superman and Lois series, which is pretty good. But the season 4 they got coming out, there was already announced that they let go majority of the cast in that show because the budget is severely lowered, and it sounds like the only people they keeping is Superman, Lois, and the Lex Luthor in that. So
not the kids. They're not gonna have the kids neither.
So far, it just sounds like it's only Superman and Lois themselves. Wow. I don't even know if the kid's coming back, to be honest.
Wow. And it's a shortened season too. It's supposed to be like 10 episodes or something like that.
Yep. So I feel like that's pretty much its last legs, and that's they're
gonna try to tie it up and finish it up.
Yeah, once that goes, that's the end of the superhero series on CW.
That's wild.
Yep, that was going off for the
longest while.
It was.
But I mean, with the whole DCU and James Gunn and everybody taking over, it's a bygone era.
Well, if once they decided that they were gonna multiverse it and not make it a shared universe per se, that's when I knew that TV was over with.
Pretty much, and then we already knew like Flash was on his legs, and that was that was the highest kept point of the Arrowverse and stuff. But that pretty much closing it up, that was kind of
absolutely.
So with that,
speaking of Flash,
with that coming out this week. Oh yeah, did you see Ezra Miller was making the rounds because he was back in the public and doing slight interviews. He wasn't really talking too much, which I mean that's got to be.
They probably told him not to.
Yeah, exactly. That's got to be the key thing at this point. They know if he opened his mouth, that's gonna be a big problem. And the marketing for this movie is so weird. Like I could be on the plus side that it's probably overall a good movie, and the reviews is coming out that's saying it's a good movie. But like they had all these celebrities backing up this movie that never really backed superhero movies before, and it was so weird. They was like, it's Tom Cruise's favorite superhero movie that he ever seen, and James Cameron giving this a plus, and it was so weird the way how they had this marketing. Like they was like, this movie's gonna be so good, you forgot that Ezra Miller's a war criminal or some shit like that.
That's what they wanted. That's what they wanted to do.
That's
what they wanted to do.
But what pisses me off is this movie is a perfect out and then they have the audacity to talk about, they said the wildest thing. They said, first of all, they said nobody else could play the Flash other than Ezra Miller. That's disrespectful to two Flashes that y'all had running the years of series between Jay Garrick and freaking Grant Gustin, which was like keeping y'all series alive for like dumb long. So that's violation off of that. And then they was talking about how you gonna forget all about the crimes Ezra Miller do because this movie's so good. And then there was already backing up. There was like, there's a Flash 2 script that was already getting written up, and they want Ezra Miller to come back. I'm like, guys,
I saw that.
Guys, y'all have y'all out. What are you doing? Why are y'all sticking so far to keep this guy, this person? Like, I don't understand why you going this far to keep, like, obviously Ezra Miller just need therapy and stay away from Hollywood. Like, I don't understand why you need the person for more, especially when you're trying to do something like Flashpoint. Come on, trying to recreate universes. That's such an easy out to recast.
Like I tell co-hosts all the time, I don't know what dirt this man got on who, but it's
got
to be good.
It got to be on point.
You gotta have something.
The fact he still got a job. I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they just really didn't want to reshoot the movie.
I get that, but don't tell us that you got another script and y'all ready to bring him back.
That's they're hoping that this movie makes you forget all the wild. I mean, people are not even up until maybe a few weeks ago, people were still talking about like, why is he still in this movie? I'm not gonna go support it. But I haven't seen none of that in the past 3-4 weeks.
I mean, at the end of the day, people go see the movie, but that just does not mean that you need to be on like just legit recast. It's we're already getting two Ezra Millers mixed up with all this stuff. Just finish off your movie and then just get another guy. It's not y'all tossed out Henry Cavill like there's no tomorrow with the ease, and my son was ready with everything.
Henry Cavill really never had a job. That's what I can't really blame them for that. I blame Rock for that because he never really had a job back. They never really told him that he wasn't going to be Superman until then. Like all the way up until that point. So it was like, I feel like with Ezra Miller, if they do decide to keep him in some capacity as the Flash moving forward, just make it cameos. Little real quick little nods here and there. Let it go. I mean, he's been the movie Flash for a while, and you could recast. But I mean, they're probably not gonna really address the bad shit, and as long as they don't, and people come out to see the movie, they're just gonna keep them regardless.
It's so easy to avoid the mess, and like you said, I mean, it's gonna be a weird vibe for the cameos to see how people might react or something like that. But nonetheless, this is just
and I guess my thing is that he ain't even really good as the Flash, so it's like,
well, I mean, I'll hold judgment till we see this full movie. But Mr. Hill Classic, do you know how long they've had him casted for the Flash?
At least as long as they had The Rock casted for Black Adam. No, I'm not even playing. It's been at least
right.
It's been if not 10 years, if not like
you're
12,
pretty much
10
right
years.
Because I think what had been said on Twitter, they said that they casted Ezra Miller's movie version of the Flash when Grant Gustin was in season 1 of the Flash.
Season 1, yeah.
And now this movie's finally dropping after he finished season 9. That's wild.
It's definitely been some time. He was one of the first people casted. Like after they had casted Ben as Batman, I think he was like right there. Like right after they had casted Wonder Woman, he was like the next one up.
Yeah, and then it went to so far that when CW did that big ass crossover that went between TV universes and stuff, then Ezra Miller was the one. He pulled up and had a scene with Grant Gustin.
With Grant,
and they was pulling like Spider-Man memes and bullshit and that. That's how long homie been playing.
Yeah,
shit's crazy.
Yeah, I popped for that too.
Back
that was a big
happened.
move.
Yeah. That was wild. That was one of the most amazing. Shout outs to like one of the best things CW did, because that's probably one of the greatest crossovers.
Yeah, that Crisis was fire. That Crisis on Infinite Earths was fire.
Ideally, I think on a in general practice, that's probably, it was low key bigger than Endgame, because you're crossing over.
It was very ambitious crossover. It
was
for real.
over shows that gone all the way from the 60s.
Right.
You talk about animation. You talk about shows on streaming service and everything.
Yeah, for like a TV show, that was a very big crossover.
TV budget. Like every week, I would have heard like a new name popped up making a cameo. It was amazing.
They even had your boy play Superman again, which was wild.
Yeah,
like that was
for
fire.
real.
That was fire.
I mean,
one thing they always was on point was is with those crossover events.
Yeah.
They do where their bread was buttered, and they work that shit so well. Even before Kevin Conroy died, for the voice acting of Batman, he finally actually played live action Bruce. Yeah, live action.
I popped
Bruce
for that
Wayne.
too.
Yeah,
I popped for that.
And he was an evil version too, so that was interesting as well.
Right. On top of that, he got to play an evil version.
Yeah,
that was hard.
That was cool.
I'm glad he got to do that. I'm glad he got to do that.
Before he passed, so
yeah.
that was amazing on that.
Yeah.
So last few news on the nerd stuff. So we heard Pat Sajak say he's retiring from Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
Which is, that's an end of an era for that.
Facts.
And then also we got they announced that the Spider-Verse is getting a short. There's a little, I don't know where it's dropping officially, but they said there's a little short that comes with the movie, like outside of the movie or something. It's called The Spider Within, that's supposed to follow up on Miles Morales' so with dealing with anxiety and stuff like that.
Oh.
So I don't know where that's supposed to be dropping, but I think it'll be dropping online just in general. So they got a little shorts to hold people over and give more, Miles content.
Right, that's fine.
And then on Netflix they had announced two things. I'm pretty sure this is a movie that's coming out, but during the touch and go of times where people was talking about with Jamie Foxx, this is a movie that was announced, I want to say like 2 years ago, that I was waiting on to see a trailer about. But they have a movie called They Clone Tyrone coming out on Netflix.
Yeah.
That has Jamie Foxx and John Boyega and Takai Paris, all part of like Marvel universes and past Star Wars and stuff like that. It's an interesting concept of a movie. It looked kind of spacious at first, but then if you watch the teaser, I mean, it's funny about cloning Black society and putting stuff in food and whatnot and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm interested in it. At first, I was scared that this might have been one of our final movies of seeing Jamie Foxx in, but thankfully he's all good now and stuff like that. So definitely going out to enjoy that movie on Netflix. I think it drops sometime. And then the final bit of nerd news, after they're finishing up with Riverdale and whatnot, I saw Netflix is bringing on the Archies series. I don't know if it's a family of Archies or what's exactly going on, but Netflix got more rights to the Archie comics and stuff like that, and they're doing their own art of whatnot. So Netflix has an Archie series pretty much coming out. Okay. Yep. So that's the wrap up of the nerd and reboot news and stuff, and now we can switch over. It's time for the main event. The main event segment of this week, we're back on the comfy couch with our guest, Mr. Hill Classic.
Yes,
and
sir.
As Mr. Hill Classic has suggested, we are doing Dawson's Creek, but a specific episode of Dawson's Creek we're stepping into season 3 episode entitled The Long Day, so it'll be the special. But before we kick off on that episode, let's talk a little history and fast fact on Dawson's Creek just in general.
Okay.
So right off the bat, my fast fact, an American teen drama TV series, romance as another genre of it, ran from January of 98 to May of 03 with a count of 128 episodes running about season, which was a flagship show on the WB, which launched many careers of its cast, being a single camera TV show view, streaming currently now on Max, Hulu, Prime, and a couple other places that cost extra money. Want to look it up there. Produced by Columbia TriStar TV and Sony Pictures. Basically boiled down to a close-knit group of friends in the fictional town of Cape Side, Massachusetts High College. Anybody have any fast facts or notes before we step into the episode?
The one fact is what's the guy's name? The guy Jack, the character Jack. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
We
Okay. Yeah, the character Jack is actually the oldest person in real life in the show. I think he was like 32, playing like a 16, 17-year-old. It was mad
How
weird.
old was everybody else?
Everybody was closer to age. It was like
Jesus.
17, 18 when they started. So when he came along, Kerr Smith, when he came along, he was already like well in his 30s. Yeah, it was weird.
You know what? So on my side, what's even funnier is, so this is my first time actually watching the show, and I didn't realize the guy who played Pacey is also another guy who, like, he's also the main guy in the new reboot series of Fatal Attraction on the Paramount series.
Correct.
Yeah, I looked at Pacey's face and I was like, wait a minute, that guy looks familiar. And then
Joshua Jackson is a very, very, very popular actor.
Yeah,
that doesn't surprise me at all.
When I looked at him in a good face, I was like, holy shit! Oh, that's
out of all of them, with the exception of maybe Michelle Williams, he's probably the most successful out of all of them. Yeah, Like,
Yeah,
like
I could definitely see that. But so if nobody else has any more facts to delve in, we could start the episode off.
all right, let's start it off.
All right, let's go into season 3, episode 20, The Longest Day.
All right, so the episode starts when we hear some commentary from Joey saying, "You ever wish you could? Have you had one of those days that you wish you could live over again?" And I'm like, "Oh, here we go."
Yep.
Sets the tone.
Definitely does. You go into that, you seeing Joey and Pacey getting together, and backstory on that. The whole season of season 3 kind of it kind of starts off with Dawson and Joey breaking up, and Dawson really making the big mistake of being like, "Yo, bro, you my homie. Watch my girl for me while she figures it out." And like for the whole season, Joey and Pacey don't like each other. Like they low key hate each other.
See, I wanted to talk more about that because so I'm a person coming into this episode that hasn't watched anything of Dawson's Creek.
Right.
But I want to compliment the episode on, for me to jump in this far into a season 3, like this is episode 20. They gave me enough information to follow along where I could definitely see where the places was being intact, because they sold me on the story of there was definitely a past going on between Dawson and Joey. They set up the friendship of Pacey and Dawson, and they definitely sold to me in definitely conversation that Joey and Pacey was definitely like fire and gas or something like that, being against each other. So I was getting, like, when I was taking my notes, I was like, I think I understand the flow of this season and how it was. I like you telling me that was the start of how season 3 was going, because honestly in my head I feel like they was probably going back and forth all the way back from like season 1 or something like that.
Yeah,
I feel like the Dawson and Joey relationship was like the crux of the season going forward into.
You really get a sense of how like over dramatic like we were as kids growing up, because it was like, yo, when you think about it, like if they had just had a conversation, if Joey and Dawson just really sat down and had a conversation about what happened and why Joey like didn't want to be with him, they probably would have been together, and none of that probably would have happened. But it's just the immaturity of it all in their matureness, because they're very overly mature kids.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But to really show how immature they are, especially when it comes to like being in love and sex and things like that, it really shows, especially in this episode, because like they don't know what to do.
So let's dive back. So we got everybody meet. So this is kind of where they're at in the area. Is that usually the hangout spot?
Nah, not even. So basically, Pacey had got a rundown boat.
Yeah.
And
which that was the vibe I was getting.
Right. He had got it for like mad cheap. Mm-hmm. And his goal for himself was to fix this boat up, regardless of what it was. Yeah. By the time he had got the boat, he had already started like falling for Joey. And he's always, even though they've always been like oil and water, he's always kind of maybe had a little thing for Joey. It never really was explored, but it was kind of said maybe once or twice that he's looked at her in a way that might have been like weird, but always knew like, nah, that's Dawson's girl. I would never.
It's one of those situations. Yeah, I get it. It's one of those situations where in sitcoms they always have the two people butting heads where they might look at each other a certain way. Right. Time. Like the first thing that comes to my mind, like, is probably like The Nanny, where you had the butler and the rich lady that they would always violate each other until like the last season. They would look at each other a certain way. So sitcoms has been like a formula for that for sure.
Yeah. So that's really where that comes from. There's so much history that they really don't know like what to do. Like they're like, oh, should I do it this way? Should I do it that way? It's just so much.
Yeah, so I mean, right off the bat in this episode, after everybody pretty much waiting for Pacey to arrive and stuff like that and christen the boat, we open on Pacey and Joey pretty much going out and like making out with each other heavy in another boat.
Right. And just to give more context on that, that was probably them like just finally being comfortable being together. Because I think the episode before was kind of like when they kind of got together. Yeah, almost. So it's kind of like
the vibe that I was
it's still kind of fresh. It's still kind of fresh situation for them.
Yeah, I mean the conversation that came out between them two was like, we're happy that this is finally happening, right? And I desire you, and I just don't want to be away from you. That all feels like honeymoon stage vibes.
Right. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, and then just the secret element of them hiding out and stuff like that. Like you got all of that in the first few minutes.
Exactly.
I peeped something like when Dawson was first coming out, and when he came out with his dad, I was like, oh, that's Jonathan.
Yeah,
that's
John
Shipp.
Wesley Shipp.
I was
Yeah,
like,
that's
I was
the
like
Flash.
before he was Henry Allen's dad.
That's the
he
Flash.
I was like, yo.
Yeah, that's the Flash. Yep.
So, yeah, I saw the face and I was like, oh, look at that synergy.
Easily one of the greatest TV dads of all time, just off of this show. I promise you, easily.
This is probably the shit that got him the Flash in the night. Well,
Nah, he was this came out after the Flash.
Oh, he did? Oh.
Yeah, it came out after the Flash. He was already the Flash. Flash had already come and gone.
Got him into this, then.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, this probably what got him the role of Henry Allen in the CW series.
Yeah, facts. So yeah.
Let's go back into the episode. After they had finished messing around, after they started messing around in the boat. After that finished, we pretty much get the opening play out. So I mean, the opening is iconic.
Classic.
Yeah.
Another fun fact is, for a long time they could not use that song. They could not use that song. So anything that when it became on streaming services, even on the DVDs, when I had the whole DVD set, all 6 seasons. The first 2 seasons had that song. The other 4 had another song. They lost the rights to that. The version of the song that you hear now is a updated, remastered version of the original song. Once they got the rights back to use it, the singer, I forget her name, re-recorded the song just for that.
You're right. I do remember that.
Okay, so what was going on with the rights though?
Just something about people not getting paid what they're supposed to get paid. You know what I'm saying?
Was
like I think
singer?
they were. Yeah, I think the story was she was supposed to use they were supposed to give her something for the song. They didn't agree to it. They wound up using the song, and then she wound up like suing them, like, yo, I never gave y'all like the real permission to like use this. And I guess that's when they had really stopped using it. For years, it's been like that. They like literally, I think last year was when they started using the song again.
Hey, that's fun facts. I wouldn't know because I came in this and I already knew the song. But me only knowing this show from clips and conversations over a long while. Me knowing that the song that's how iconic the song is. That's how
that's the song is what it's attached to. Exactly.
So after that finished, we have Pacey and his brother kind of playing. So the little kid that's played by Jonathan Lipnicki, that's his little brother, right?
Nah, that's like somebody's mentoring. I think he had got into an accident or something, and it was like, well, Pacey, you wilding out. We got to figure out something for you. So he got into this like mentorship program. Yeah.
Okay, to keep him calm and stuff.
Correct.
All right. They playing. So we got back and forth with little man as he's busy to handle stuff at the moment. So the person he passed them off to, is that his brother?
That's his brother. Yeah, that's his brother.
We got that, and then kind of divide up into the group. We Jen with her grandmother, and that's her grandmother, right?
Yeah.
Talking to her.
Yeah.
All right, and then she's old school, so trying to keep her from giving into like sexual impulses. Right. Talking to her, stuff like that. That's just kind of the genre of like those classic.
That's what it was in that day. That's what it was in that day.
Tried to sell it off and stuff like that. Yeah. And then we got Jen and Pace talking about how he got to tell Dawson about this kind of betrayal. So Jen at this time, we don't really know already how Jen knows, but Jen already knows that there's something going on, and she's telling Pacey that he gotta tell Dawson about this kind of betrayal, and how they both need this girl specifically in their life and stuff like that. So that was thing and stuff like that. So then we have I think this comes where Dawson's dad comes out and says he's at the library because everybody's looking around for Dawson.
Right, they're looking for Dawson.
Yep. Yeah, they running around, and then so we got Pacey who goes into the library and he runs into Andy.
Yeah, that's his
library.
ex.
Okay, so that's his ex.
That's his ex.
I see the vibe that Andy and Pacey was giving off. I thought Andy had a thing for Pacey, but it was like a unrequited thing. But I didn't think they was in a relationship already.
So at that point, it is like at that point, Pacey is not jacking none of that, not jacking it at all. Like on some like, yo, shorty, whatever you want to do, it's on you. Like we cool, but that's you. Like you
so
do. So
how did they break up?
She wound up. It's funny. She wound up going to like a mental hospital.
Oh, okay.
She had like a breakdown. She had like a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
And when Pacey went to go pick her up, he found out that she cheated on him while she was there.
Oh.
While she was in the mental hospital. Yep.
God damn.
Yeah. I told you it get wild, bro. It get wild. It get wild.
Yo,
I'm telling you, you picked the perfect episode to I feel like this, even though it's so far into season 3, it's a perfectly way to like branch off into, yo, I wonder what happened here, and then what happened here, and then what happened here.
The reason
Nah,
why,
this
the
something
main
else.
reason why I picked this episode is because I always feel like this is the turning point of the series. It's kind of when
It
Dawson's
felt like
Creek.
something big had happened by the time something that
Correct,
this ended.
correct. This is probably the biggest. This episode determined like the outcome of everything else, like that's to come. I think everything before it built up to that was
To
the
this?
build for that, and I think everything is the consequence of that. So that's why I always like when I tell people about Dawson's Creek, I'm like, yo, watch The Longest Day. Like you got it. It's even for the time, the way it resets and shows you in different characters' points of view on what it is. It's like that wasn't done before.
Yeah.
Like that was brand new.
I definitely believe in like a pacing sort of way, just general. I mean that was an interesting concept, like playing stuff out of order and playing something with time and stuff like that. That was definitely an interesting concept that they was messing with between stuff like this, maybe stuff like Pulp Fiction. That was garnering attraction during that time. It's
correct.
Definitely interesting.
Yeah, because they gave us a little bit, and it was like, oh, we see this
just a little bit, and then
they show how we got to that little bit,
and then it goes back and it starts over, and you look from somebody else's point of view, and it gives you a little bit, and then you figure something else out, and
it puts in puzzle pieces that before you could have major like questions for how did this person get, why are they in the certain places they are, definitely like worked its way like a puzzle, like a nice puzzle.
Correct.
So getting back into the episode, we got so like right after Pacey had his conversation with Andy in the library, they flash forward to Pacey getting home while Buzz bouncing all over the bed, and Pacey's brother trying to calm him down. Pacey just getting home and he had to pick up Buzz and stuff like that, and Pacey's telling his brother that him and Joey are a thing, and Doug pretty much wondering when he gonna tell Dawson about it, and he pretty much poo-pooing on the relationship already. He's like, yo, I'm about to watch Crack burn and stuff like that.
Yeah. But all of them felt that way. All of them feel that way.
Yo, during that scene, I got my first old moment when Pacey handed Buzz a copy of Pokemon Blue.
Oh yeah, the Pokemon Blue or the Game Boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's how you know. That's how you know. That was so that was 99 that came out. That episode was 99. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how old that was for sure. Answering machines and all of that.
For real, I was like, oh, okay.
Classic facts and whatnot.
Right.
So Pace continues his looking for Dawson all day, and then we kind of hit the point where it's like nighttime, and then out of nowhere Joey comes to stop him, and she's saying she wants to tell Dawson. She said this is gonna ruin the whole friendship, and she's stressing out, being frantic and stuff like that. Joey all stressing out about telling him, and then she like pulls Pacey off to like the side, and Pacey starts to realize that she kind of never wanted him to say anything, and they're just talking to each other back and forth about like just moving on, and they think this is a whole kind of a big mistake, all the way to the point that Dawson finally arrives and he like enters out of his house, and that's when like Pacey comes clean about that there's a lust going on and stuff like that, and just when that happened, like we flash right back into Joey repeating of the intro,
right,
and we run the story back right at the top where Joey's like about living the day over again, and then we go back to Joey arrives after making out with Pacey, and we get the perspective of Joey's morning that day, like talking to Jen and telling Jen about the kiss and all the stuff that they was kind of hiding low key. They had an interesting conversation, and I like their conversation because this is definitely kind of ahead of their time, talking about how women is seen as the villains in these stories. She confides in the confidence of Jen, how Joey feels like Jen is the more confident woman, how she could stand on her own like perspective and stuff like that, and Joey was kind of nervous of coming clean because she'll be seen as the villain, and all this perspective of trying to break up a friendship between two guys and stuff like that, and a whole bunch of she's trying to just kind of be she's trying to get the help of how to step forward by coming forward. Jen. So after they have their conversation, they flash forward to where Joey was at the time when Pacey went to the library to talk to Andy. You see Joey at the top of the library looking off and seeing Pacey talk to Andy, and now you telling me the backstory of the relationship.
And now that makes sense now.
Exactly, that starts to add on to the puzzle piece of Joey kind of looking strange off when Pacey's talking to his ex
What's
that.
funny was this was the first watching it, because I just watched it literally before I got on. I watched it over. That her facial expressions was almost of like, man, I wish she wasn't talking to me about this. But at the same time, it was like, yo, these are all the same things I love about Pacey too. So it was wild. I never noticed that before. I never noticed like her facial expressions like conveying all of that. It was wild.
Great.
Wild.
See, that's why we gotta rewatch stuff.
Yeah.
I got my old moment number 2.
Like when she said certain things, she would her the way she would look would be like, man, like why are you telling me this? Like I get it. And then other times she'd be like, yeah, that's why I fuck with him too. Like on that type of time, it was you could see it.
You could see the history was there.
Facts.
Cole, she was saying something about the blast from the past too.
Oh, when Jen was talking to Joey, and then she got on this payphone, this Bell Atlantic
got
payphone.
on the Bell Atlantic payphone.
I'm like,
there you go. I was supposed to know that it's between that, and I also put a note that said this episode spins around the Watergate scandal, because they talk about that shit all through. Like everybody's doing a report on the Watergate scandal, and I'm like, damn, Nixon shit.
That's wild.
Yeah, like we mix it with that, and then as Joey is working on her getting some information, stuff like that, Andy pull up to Joey, and she starts to admit that she getting feelings for Pacey all over again, and she don't know what's going on low key with Joey, and like like you said from before, the facial expression as Joey was talking to Andy at first was like a smile and stuff like that, and everything was all good until Andy was like, yo, I got that feeling back again that I wanna pursue, Pacey, and then slowly you see the smile go completely down, and she feel all bad about that.
Yeah.
So that becomes a whole mess, and that starts to plague Joey on her mind and stuff like that. And then as Joey leave the library and stuff like that, Joey ends up running into Dawson first in like the middle of the street, and he offers like movie night, but he notices her mannerisms are acting strange. He even calls her out on it. He was like, is something all right, Joey? And Joey's mad antsy and pantsing all over the street and stuff like that. And Joey books out of there, tries quick, and she got stuff to do, and she gotta hustle out of there. So this is where, like you were saying from before, Joey called Pacey from the payphone, trying to stop him from telling Dawson, leaving him the whole message and stuff like that. Talk about, I don't think we should doing this anymore. I don't think you should talk to Dawson. Please don't talk to Dawson.
Right.
But so we flash forward again to Joey going to see Dawson, and so this is also establishing the whole history between Joey and Dawson in my head off this episode, because she put up a ladder to his room, and she was already crawling through his room. I guess that's her.
They've been doing that. They've been doing that. It wasn't no secret that they've been doing that since they was kids. They've been on that time. So that's where that came from.
So she climbing through his room and getting through the window, and he watching the last picture show, which was supposed to be a part of their first date, and then he was explaining how they never got to really finish the movie and stuff like that. And man, talk about like foreshadowing, mixing everything. Once we started to get like Dawson's perspective on it, I started to wonder if this was a little level of low key manipulation. You
started questioning whether or not he knew or not.
Dawson started, because he started to play like it was one of those things where somebody's lying to you and you got the true answer, but you want to hear if they want to come out with, because he started explaining the specific episode. He said the last picture show and this movie is about.
He started telling about what the movie was about. Yep.
Yeah, two friends arguing about this one girl, and even the guy, like that very scene, the guy said, "I don't care about it. I'm gonna get my girl back," and all this other shit. Like I was like.
He was like, the dude in the joint, he was like, how you gonna do that and be, how you gonna, he was like, I thought we was best friends. He was like, I thought we was best friends. He was like, we are, man. What are you talking about? He's like, we best friends. You sleeping with my girl? He's like, I'm not sleeping with her. What are you talking about? It was like wild. It was just crazy.
Imagining in Dawson's broken consciousness at that moment, he's rewind, because he's probably hearing her starting to call up the ladder. He's like, I know
all
this
of that.
exact
You already
spot.
know it's
I'm
coming.
Rewinding. I'm playing that specific scene like 10 times over, so she hear that shit.
What's wild is that if you watch it, like watch Dawson like religiously, you would already think that he's probably sat and rewound that part a million times already. That's probably the only part of the movie he watched.
Getting his mannerisms in that exact exact moment, I could have already told you his mind was warped. He was
already gone.
Nuts.
He was already gone.
He was on some extra paranoia stuff where he just needed to hear the truth about that.
Yeah,
so like he was explaining, is the movie they saw on their first date. They never finished it. It didn't go well, and just how he was explaining the movie talks about the love triangle that destroys friendship and has everybody hate each other. Foreshadow out the ass of that.
That messed her up too.
Yeah. That's why she was shaking and freaking
She got out of there.
She like, nah.
She's like, yo, I gotta go.
It's not only that, but it's Dawson's demeanor. How
Right.
he was saying that shit and then looking straight at her, like,
In her face.
Tell me
like,
now.
you got something you want to tell me?
Dead ass. The dramatic camera flip on Dawson's, like, it closed up on Dawson's face, and it goes back to
top
her.
notch.
And she was freaking out, and she was like, nah, I gotta go. I'm hopping out this window ASAP. And then that's how it proves that by the time she ran into Pacey, that's why she was, like, shaking and all kinds of stirred up. She was like, no, don't talk to him and shit like that. Like, it was just a whole bunch of shit that was fucking up Joey's mind at that point. So she freaks and leaves, and that's when Joey finds and stops Pacey before he tells Dawson.
You go through that scene again.
Yeah, we go through that scene again, and then we see Dawson looking out his window so he can see officially them talking to each other, kind of being armed in arm, linked up, and each other hugging up, and
still not sure if he knows or not.
Exactly.
The audience is still not 100% sure if he knows or not.
Yeah, because it could be any kind of hug. So,
Right. He's like, yo, what are they doing outside? Like, why are they talking like that?
But then Dawson pops out, and then he reveals, kind of like after they kind of talk this way and talking about us, he kind of revealed low key that I had an idea that he knew all along, because even Joe was like, oh, you knew all along, and he's
like,
he's kind of like being the setup in that. And then right when we hit that moment, we get again the narration and the episode start over again.
Yep.
And then the same way how we saw, this is now we're getting Dawson's perspective really of that whole thing.
Of what happened.
And we get Pacey giving his speech about the boat and how everybody helped him to chip in for the boat and getting all this stuff. And then that's when he announced that True Love has been christened. That's the name of the boat and stuff like that. He smashed the bottle on it that was given to him by Dawson. And the way how Dawson was giving the vibes, he was like, we still bros and friendship and stuff like that. So that moment that he proved already in that morning, he didn't know nothing.
Nothing. Had no clue.
His mindset was not warped or nothing like that.
Had no clue.
So we got so at that point we see Dawson in the library, and we saw the guy who was talking. He was around Andy kind of around that time. We got the guy named Will. So give me the perspective on Will and the
all right,
his lead up in this group.
So Will is funny because he's not really a part of their group. He was a setup character that they made for another show called, I think it was called Young Americans or something like that. It only lasted for like maybe a season. I don't even think it lasted a whole season. But I think the next episode after this is kind of when he kind of like goes off on him. He's really an old friend of like Pacey's, I believe.
Yeah.
And like he was cool with, like, I guess Dawson knew him and Joey knew him. They all kind of like grew up together, but it was just a character to start off for another show. Where he goes off to like some like special school for like super smart kids, and I enjoyed the show, but it didn't last.
It didn't click.
Yeah.
I guess they was trying to use it as the launching pad for the spin.
Right, they was using it. Yeah, that's exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, it was just to introduce him, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. He really has nothing to give to the story at all.
Okay. Well,
besides the little pieces of advice he gives to Pacey.
In this perspective on this, Will was asking for advice from Dawson about on date general, and through his past Joey, and he wanted to help because he wanted to ask out Andy and get some ideas. Dawson ends up offering his boat that he got, and he's trying to look out. He's trying to hook up a friend with a friend and stuff like that. He's going all out because he's like, man, I don't need the boat for tonight, so take on a nice boat ride.
Right,
see what they could work with. That was nice, showing Dawson's helpful leadership character. Like that's the vibe I got. So we got Jen chilling with. So explain to me Henry.
Henry is her boyfriend, pretty much. He was she's I think in this point in time they're juniors in high school. Henry is a freshman. She wasn't jacking the whole. Yeah, she wasn't jacking it at first, and then he kind of like just was super persistent, just a super like sweet, like affable, like weirdo kid, and she kind of just like fell for it because he showed her different. So
till here.
Right.
So Jen chilling with Henry until Dawson comes over, and then Jen, big mouth over here. She was like, she accidentally already was spilling the whole.
Right. She spilled the tea.
Dawson.
She spilled all of it. He still spilled that tea.
Dawson, like the second he was like, man, Jen was like, I'm so sorry to hear about what was going on with Patience. Sorry.
Dawson's like, what are you talking about?
Dawson was on that freak
What are you
shit.
talking? What do you mean?
That's
when he spazzed out. He's like, yo, what do you mean? Tell me what you gotta tell me.
In his mind
right?
At that
yeah, it was over.
So he was going off. He leaves like super set, and she was trying to hold him back. Jen realized how she fucked up, and it's just the perspective, all that shit going down, and it was just a mess of all that coming together.
Messy.
Yeah, it was just
it was messy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Was after this moment? Was after that moment? Was that the situation where Henry came back? And
yeah, Henry came right back after he tried to kiss on her.
Yeah,
she wasn't jacketed. Yeah, she wasn't jacketed. She was like, nah, what you doing? He was like, yo, I'm not trying to deal with whatever melodrama y'all niggas got caught up today, which was valid, very valid. Like when he said that, I was like, yo, you know what? He's probably been through enough with them this season that he's like, yo, I'm just trying to make her feel better, but that wasn't the way to go about it.
He probably feel like he was sharing this girl too much. He wasn't having enough time, and she was really like fucking with her friends a lot.
You know what I think it is? I think it was more or less of him just being like, yo, I want to protect you from this because this is just drama that has nothing to do with you. So let me be the good boyfriend and be, you know what I'm saying, trying to show you something or take your mind off of it. But that wasn't the way to go at that point.
Yeah, it was like he was just tired of her being stressed about something that really ain't had nothing to do with her.
Nothing to do with her.
And she just kind of dead. It's just like...
Right, and she kind of just made it have to do with her because she the one spilling the beans. She out here being fed. She out here being a fed, telling everything.
I low-key, like I said, I'm coming in here fresh, and the moment I had that with Jen, I was like, damn, you already labeled Big Mouth here.
Yeah, I was like, yo, why you snitch like that?
I was like, why you even say anything?
Why you did that?
She could have played it off or something. Like she just straight up had to say, man,
yo,
I'm so sorry about what happened. I'm like, damn,
she automatically felt like because he was coming over to our house that he was coming over there to grieve, and I was just like, yo, he might have just came across the street to say hi to his friend. Like
shit, even peep the body language first.
Right, bro. Like he didn't even come on that type of time.
Like, give him a chance to say something first. Like, bro, he just like
you start snitching.
Right, wild.
Right, find out if he know what he think first.
Right.
That ass, and now you stoking the flame and lighting the damn dynamite.
And now you put your foot in your mouth, and it's like
now the rest of the day he fucked up.
Yeah.
He's
specifically because
he's mad the rest of the day.
Next scene, he not only he leave upset, he laying in his bed, and that's the worst consciousness. There was silence. Right. He looking up
Dolo
at the
in
wall
his bed.
Shit. Like he's just that point. That's pretty much his villain era because he's looking up at the ceiling. He plotting shit.
And like for you who's never really watching, this is your first time. Like that room is so symbolic to their like friendship and relationship that him just sitting in there probably just threw him off the edge.
Oh yeah,
it had to. He didn't have nowhere else to go but there. Shit. Yeah, bro. He had nowhere to go but there.
Probably looking at that window. I know her ass is coming.
Yeah, she's gonna come.
No, he definitely knew she had.
Dawson was like, as sure as this film is Spielberg, she coming up here tonight. I promise you that.
I could just imagine. Like, I'm pretty sure they don't want to like show the full perspective of Dawson going like crazy, but I guarantee you, before she pulled up in there, he had rewind on deck for that very scene. Rewind, play. When he heard her coming up on the ladder, he hit the rewind button specifically to that scene, that time, ready to fuck with her mind straight up.
I mean, you just gotta imagine being 17 and just finding out, your girl that you love for like all your life is fucking with your best friend, who them niggas never liked each other.
Yeah,
so
going
he's like in that room, like, boy, I see.
He's probably blaming himself. He's like, like
I pushed them together because I had her.
I pushed them together. But he had opportunities to get back with her. See, that's season 3 is so good in like he had so many opportunities to like really be with her, especially with her just being on some like, yo, the reason why we broke up, I was wrong for that. So like, give me a chance now.
That's one of the reasons why I ain't rock with Dawson, because he kind of created this mess.
Yeah, from the jump. From the jump.
I was wondering.
Well, really, Joey created the mess, but Dawson was just like, I'm just gonna be petty and not fuck with you. How about that?
So who broke up with who?
Joey broke up with Dawson. The end of season 2. Oh, okay. Yeah. And really not by any fault of their own. Basically, what happened was Joey's father had came out of prison, and that nigga started doing drugs again. That nigga started dealing drugs again. So Dawson ended up seeing like a drug transaction and wound up calling the police.
Okay.
Somebody wound up coming and like burning down their restaurant or something, like the family restaurant or something like that, dealing with drug money or something like that.
God
And
damn.
Dawson wound up just saying like, "Yo, I saw Pops in the back with the brick." And Joey was like, "Yo, you sending my father back to prison? You know,
Damn.
I get it, but I can't be with you no more because every time I look at you, I'm gonna think of that."
Yeah. No, honestly, I
So it was
honestly
valid.
understand.
And then they went through a whole. That was the end of the year. They went a whole summer without seeing each other. And then when he comes back from the summer, she trying to fuck with him. Yeah, she's like, she thought about it.
So how long would it reestablish before she started fuck Paige? Because you said she came back in the summer. How long was it like that they reformed their friendship?
So I think their friendship kind of just, they had it probably within the first couple of episodes. They kind of had a conversation, was like, "Yo, listen, it's not gonna happen, but we gonna be cool. We always gonna be friends," kind of shit. And then that's when he was like, "Yo, Pacey, I need you to watch her when I can't." You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Oh, the reason why he said that was because he low-key had fell for what's her name from what's the girl's name? The actress. And she has a twin. No. She has a twin in real life. She's on The Game. The white girl.
The white girl. Oh, I know who you talking about. Shoot, I just found out she had a twin.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
From the game.
Correct. This is where she got like Dawson's Creek was one of them shows.
She was
like
on it?
Yes, one of them. Dawson's Creek is one of those shows where if you go back from like season 1, episode 1, you will see somebody that you knew before they were famous. Guaranteed.
Brittany Daniel.
There you go, Brittany Daniel. There you go. Yep, she was in it. She was in the first half of the season. Low-key fucking with Dawson the whole time. Just on some really overly sexual. Okay. Everything that Dawson wasn't, she was. Okay. It got him in wild trouble. And so while he was trying to explore that, he was like, "Yo, watch my shorty for me." And that's how that worked out. He was like, "Yo, I can't watch her because I kind of got my hands full over here. Yeah. She kind of getting me in trouble and I kind of like it kind of shit." And he was like, "But if this don't work out, I want to be able to go back to that. So my guy, just make sure, you know what I'm saying."
So also, I mean, in the context of messing with a person's best friend, that's fucked up. But just in general, it's like keeping Joey ideally in eye level so she could be on the side. I mean, that's another level of it. Like,
well, Dawson lives in a fantasy world.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He lives in a movie world, so he always feels like
show's called Dawson's Creek, so he was definitely main character syndrome.
Even though, to be honest with you, he's not the main character of the show.
Oh, okay.
It's not his show. It's actually Joey's show. It's actually her show.
That. Yeah.
It's actually, when you get to the end, like you get to the end of the show, you really realize this was her show the whole time. Okay. It's really her story the whole time.
Coming into this episode, I believe that with her narrating and stuff like that, but I thought it was, based off of just this singular episode, and she's like, it's surrounding her. She's like the central part. So I thought
she's the only one. Katie Holmes was the only one in every episode.
Oh.
Yeah, like even Dawson wasn't in every episode. She's in every single episode.
Now that's what I call like swerve off that shit. Yeah. You got something called Dawson's Creek and Joey in every episode more than Dawson. That's crazy.
It's her story about him. It's her love story.
Okay.
Even though you don't get those vibes, you don't get those vibes until the very end of the show.
Okay.
But it's literally her love story about them.
Is this like a person writing a diary?
So, fun fact about this is the guy who wrote Scream, this is his actual like story. Kevin Williamson, it's his actual like story of him trying to be a filmmaker and having this group of friends, and they were all in love and blah 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 and this, that, and the third, and the girl from New York. All of that's him. All of that's his story.
Good. So
that's
I'm
crazy.
happy you said it's from Scream, because damn, it gave me Scream vibes for sure.
Well, when you see like the Halloween episodes, there's a lot of Scream vibes, but it's shot very much the same way Scream. I think they use some of the sets from Scream.
I believe it, because I was getting vibes from this group.
Yeah. It's definitely the guy who wrote Scream created Dawson's Creek.
Yeah. That's a fun fact right there.
Yeah.
So, right, so we getting back to.
We just about done.
So like we said before, Joey pulls up. Dawson got that movie on rewind. Dawson feels hurt, realizing, and then sees like Ace and Joey together. We back to the current argument, and everyone's info is revealed. Pace is defending Joey, but Dawson's full of anger. He scoffs at both of them, saying, "Oh, y'all think y'all in love? Fuck out of here. Y'all never really liked each other." Like he going.
Dawson's like, yo, all he want to do is smash. Like that. I don't know what you thought. Dawson was like, so what? You just gonna let him smash? That's what you want? Yo, he was not playing.
Dawson was on it, yo. He was going
in, yo.
The body language in the hands?
Like, yo, that's his man's, bro. And he was like, yo, all he going to do is smash because that's what he's going to expect.
He was spitting 16.
Yo, spitting 16,
He was
bro.
spitting 16 on their asses.
Venom on his name.
He had no Vaseline on his mind. Like, yo, he was in anger.
Straight no Vaseline.
He's like, I look at you, I ain't see Pacey first. I'd punch Pacey in the face.
That ass, yo.
Nah, he wasn't gonna do that because he know he can't beat Pacey.
That's true.
That wasn't that. Yo, one thing about Dawson, even though they'll get into it, but he already know like
that's probably what he was feeling. But he right, he wasn't gonna do that because Pacey was gonna watch.
He gotta get a little courage in his heart to do that. He ain't had the courage yet. He was just upset.
So Pacey got hands. What he
been Pacey's just not afraid to fight.
Yeah.
Pacey don't got nothing to lose. He don't got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So he just that's his MO. Like if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna fight. Yeah. Correct.
So he says they all gonna lose friends at the end of this, and he going off with his 60 bars, and that's when we got Andy and Will show up, and Dawson letting loose. Right after he started letting loose, we get another perspective. Like we are now like in Jen's perspective after Dawson left, and she talks to that's the part where she talks to Henry about it. He kisses
Henry,
yeah. Henry sick of the drama, and Jen throws him out. She whole has like sick.
That really don't have nothing to do with nothing because that just sets up the next episode because Henry just being a 14, 15-year-old kid.
I feel like Henry and Will they just here for
they just supporting characters. They really
just plot devices.
Right. They ain't had nothing to do with nothing.
So in the next scene we see Andy and Will, and we see them out at the boat that Dawson let them borrow. And that's when they talked about the Greek myth and young love and death. And I feel like definitely that Greek myth has a mixture of all the shit that's going on. I love the use of all the literary stuff in the movies and all the subtle shit that they
were hyper smart. Them kids were hyper smart. Like they were the type of kids who did things outside of like what normal kids would do. Like they knew stuff and their vocabulary was different. That was some of the gripes of the show. Like their vocabulary was different for like 15 to 16 year kids. They was nerds. They was nerds. Kids didn't really, but you didn't really pick up on that. Like they was nerds, but like they didn't. They made it so that they didn't look like nerds. You know what I'm saying?
They look kind of like the popular kids if you look.
Right. They weren't into sports. They weren't into like dances, like school dances. Like they weren't the cool kids, but they made them seem like they were the cool kids.
Sidebar, that had my old moment number 3 while they was in that library when I saw that gateway computer running Netscape Navigator with the floppy disk drive and the dot matrix printer in the cut. I'm like, oh my God.
That's a fact.
Old tech.
Yeah, for sure.
So now we back to where we was with Andy and Will arriving, and Joey goes after Dawson and she gives Pace talking to while hurt herself. Andy wilding out on Pace. She over here all the shit that's going down. How Pace and Joey messing around low key, and she realized she doesn't come forward to Joey, and Joey basically ideally like smiling in her face. Pretty much after shit chatting and all that stuff, talk about I want Pacey back and shit like that. She didn't say nothing, so she feeling like Boo Boo the fool. Even though like Will goes to follow her after she runs off, and then we got Dawson and Joey yelling about punishment and how the relationship happened, and Dawson puts the issue.
Dawson gave it an ultimatum.
Yeah, he gave it a big ultimatum. He's like, you can't have him and be friends with me. Like there's no recognition.
You can't have him and have me as a consolation prize. Like it's not gonna happen.
Ain't fucking with that. Like Dawson, like I'm main numero uno here. Like you can't have that, and this is gonna change the dynamic forever.
That's where I didn't agree with Dawson, because I was like, Dawson, you had the opportunity to be with her and you chose not to. So you can't go back now and be on some. Oh, you gotta choose me or him when you didn't want her in the first place. That's what
I wanted to see. That when you gave me the backup context saying he was keeping pretty much he was keeping her as an option.
Right. That's the choice
That's
he
his
made.
downfall.
How you gonna say you want to be number one, but you
never
keeping
had her
her
as number
You
one.
had
as
her
the
as
option?
number 2. Never had her as number 1. Even from season 1, when she was showing like he was just oblivious that she liked him.
Yeah.
Never was number 1. Never put her as number 1.
Nope.
There you go. So Dawson was just mainly up in his feelings and wilding on that shit. Sure.
Yeah, but he had to get some shit off his chest.
Oh, definitely.
He had to get some shit off his chest.
Woo, did he have that fun?
Yeah, he had to go.
When Jen told him,
He been bubbling and stewing all day.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, when he was in that bed, he had his whole Joker plan filled out from the movie to the ultimatum. All that shit was spewing. The 16 bars, he had time to spew over all that.
Yeah,
that shit was eating
sure.
That shit was eating him up like a
Hey,
symbiote
all
to
of that.
Spider-Man.
From when he saw her at the library, he was eating on that.
Oh yeah.
Cause he knew then.
All that shit. He was peeping shit from the side and a whole bunch of shit. So Dawson says the friendship is over and this choice ruins it all. Dawson throws her out. Joey leaves. Jen goes to see Dawson, tells her to let her decide, and Dawson has a hard time letting go. Joey then meets up with Pacey later on by the boat and tells Pacey the narrative spin that's been saying the whole episode. You know, she basically been saying what she been saying at the beginning of the episode. She says it like officially over to Pacey.
Right.
And they figure what they could have done differently, but realizes that nothing changed at this point. They watched the boat, and then they realized Joey realized at that moment that like Paige Joey have to break up, and then goes off and Joey pretty much Pacey pretty much tells Joey, I want you to leave first. So she goes off to the end of the door, and she ends up crying, and then by the time she turns around, Pacey had already left, and that kind of finishes off the episode.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we got the ending is I call this the karaoke style remix sounding instrumental finish to the song to end that off.
What's crazy thinking about this episode, Pacey got told twice. He got told once by Andy and once by his brother. Like, bro, how did you think this was going to turn out?
End. Yeah,
everybody said this shit was going to end up bad, but I didn't expect this shit to happen in the very same episode though.
Yeah, nah. It was. If they weren't ready to tell him immediately, it was never gonna work.
Yep.
They had if that was something they decided to do, they waited entirely too long to let him know. Yeah. They had to be honest with themselves and just be like, yo, this is what we want to do. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just sneaking it around. Because I think more or less, of course, I think Dawson was upset that you trying to fuck my girl. Yeah. But like, I think them just hiding it.
That's what it was.
Really got him. Like them. That's what pushed.
Because
how long have y'all been hiding? Yeah. Like in my face.
That's what pushed him over.
Look like Boo Boo the Fool.
Right. Because I'm sure he never would have thought. Never.
And then to find out be the third party.
Yeah.
Right.
Jen Big Mouth Ops.
Big Mouth Jen.
Shit. But so as a perspective though, honestly, so if they would have came clean at like the jump, do you think Dawson would have just accepted it off jump?
No.
No.
He
That's why I like their conversation where they said like doing stuff different, but they ultimately realized that at the end of the day we would still kind of round about where we at now. Where it's a mess.
The problem with their group, their friend group especially, is that it's always been said that Dawson and Joey are supposed to be together, star-crossed lovers, all of that. Like, I mean, they say it millions of times. So when you have like Andy saying, "How did you think this was gonna?" When you have his Pacey's brother Doug saying like, "Yo, how did you think this was gonna? And how do you think this is gonna end?" They all fell into this trap of, "Yo, Dawson and Joey are going to be together for the rest of their life, regardless of like what it is. Like, if they're friends now, eventually they're going to be together."
Back to each other,
right. So the fact that Pacey was probably the biggest threat because he's seen that relationship from the beginning, and so he knows what is necessary to make it his. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can make Joey mine because I know everything that Dawson needs to do.
Man,
like,
I know Dawson was stewing over in his bed. He was like, that man copied me ball for ball, word for word, my whole flow to steal my girl. My son was, the poison that slewed in his mind, that shit crazy.
That wasn't his fault, though. That's the thing was that was not his fault and was not his intent. Yeah. Wasn't his fault. It wasn't his intention.
Definitely. I mean, have given time to slew over it definitely sucked. But I just wanted to get y'all opinions. What's y'all final impressions on this episode as a whole?
It's a wild episode, man. Yes. Wild episode.
Definitely.
Just crazy as hell.
The drama was palpable. As I was taking the notes, I definitely felt like I was getting drawn in. I was like, I don't know nothing about this, but I was like, damn, shit is spicy.
Yeah, it gets spicier. It goes
so
from
would you
that
say
point.
Season 3's a peak?
Maybe from the beginning of season 3 to maybe halfway season 4 is the peak. After maybe the graduation and everything in season 4, I kind of taper off. Season 5 to me is just super mid, and season 6 kind of like picks it up because it's the end.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I would say maybe the peak. It might be peak. You could continue going into season 4, but once they get into college and shit, it gets kind of.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing. Because when I was looking up the fast facts of this, and they was giving the information that from high school to college, I was thinking in my head, I was like, they had most of this written for high school. By the time they hit college, they was probably melving around for a while or something.
Right,
like
trying to figure out what they was gonna do.
It's not as big a drama as like when you high school and everybody.
Right, but they still found time to get the drama going.
Yeah.
Which is funny. College,
they wound up getting Busy Phillips in there. She ended up being a recurring character. It like I said, Dawson's Creek was a platform for a lot of actors. Like a lot.
Definitely, I see that. It's funny because when I looked up the fast facts and I looked up the specific wiki for Dawson's Creek, the first relationship that actually pops up is Joey and Pacey. So I when I saw that, I was already like, before I went into the episode, I saw that name pop up and I was like, oh, this must be a long running thing. So that's to prove how like big a moment that must be for them to have a whole wiki separated.
It's had very big moments. Dawson's Creek had the first gay television kiss ever. Wow. A lot of big moments on Dawson's Creek. People sleep on it, but I'm telling you, it was a big coming of age show for my age group.
No, I get it.
It was our 90210 for real.
For my time, I've seen so many. Like, I know of Dawson's Creek because I've seen so many parodies.
Pop culture parodies.
How big of a reference point it is that there's so many parodies about people, like the theme song, the characters, the over dramatized of high school life and stuff like that. There's so many things that follow off of Dawson's Creek that jokes around. That's how I know how big of a show it was.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. One of my favorite shows of all time.
Yeah, co-host, what's your final impression of this episode?
This episode was good. But what is it? Messy.
It's wild messy.
I said this episode. My final impressions I have written down. I said this episode off, like the different perspectives and different literary usage was interesting. Greek library, TV, all to express what's going on in this messy the love situation. That was man, it was extra spicy. That's one way to just come into the series. Now I know nothing and kind of get the loop of who's what's the friend group, what's the dynamic, what's going on. They do a good job explaining what's the history going on and shit like that, and just enough for you to like, okay, let me go in the back, see how we led off to
nobody really in this episode came off clean.
Nobody.
No.
Everybody is a heel. Everybody's a fucking heel.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's a fucking heel. Everybody
got messages and shit.
Dawson had his heel turn, everything.
Yeah. Even Andy fucking with
Andy had a heel turn.
But she knows she want Pacey. So you playing this boy while he takes you
nobody come out clean.
Nobody came out clean on that. That's a fact.
Definite side characters.
Niggas had heel turns. Fucking Pacey had a face turn low key.
That shit crazy.
For real.
Joey done turned more times than Big Show. I'm like, yo.
She turned throughout the episode.
Facts. Shit, she became a sympathetic figure. She became a sympathetic figure as you see like fucking Dawson start to go off with his 16 bars.
Right. Yo, he went off on her.
He went off. Yo, the anger that was spewed from that man. You could have charged the fucking Venom symbiote.
Niggas like, what are we even talking about? That's my man's, bro.
Son was stewing the whole day.
Like, you can't justify this to me, bro. Like, get out of my room.
My son was on that movie. You gotta get you sucker. He said you can use the stairs or the window, but you
gotta go.
That ass, you gotta
stairs
get
or
the
the
fuck
window.
out.
Stairs or the ladder.
The fact that he saw her early in the day too, probably he was just cooking.
Bro, he saw her antsy as shit. And he was like, "What's going on?"
He's thinking all of them. He was thinking of all them comebacks.
Yep. He's like, wait,
All
wait,
day.
she gonna say something?
I'm telling you,
word?
bro, the behind the scenes of this nigga in his bed, he had a notebook and he was writing shit up like Eminem.
Right.
My son was in his bed spitting them all. He said, "You know, fucking with my man, yo, no.
Yo, he probably had
trying to smash." My
So
son
watch
had
how I do
bars.
this.
He had bars for Joey. He probably had a
had
separate set for Pacey. He was like,
nigga
He
said
probably
you-
had a few for Jen.
oh, yo.
Shit.
Now he kind of went off on,
Yeah, he
you see
went up
how
on
he,
Gen 2. By the time he said, "Fuck out of my
He
face."
said, do the same thing you did for me. Don't tell them nothing. Thanks for helping me.
My son was writing down. He said, "You both are trash. You trying to smash." My son had bars, rhymes, everything working up.
Yo,
so they lucky they saw him that day, because some would have had a whole ether ready for them if they ain't see him that day.
My son was in the studio.
Right.
If they gave him one more day, he was in the studio. He was gonna drop a whole diss track on their ass. He said, "Play this in the mixtape."
Shit is wild.
That shit was wild. But yeah, we gonna close up on this conversation and Dawson's Creek and stuff like that. Big recommendation. Thank you for Mr. Hill Classic for recommending. This was definitely spicy up the alley that we wanted to check out and stuff like that. So straight off the bat, we want to talk about preview next review episode we got cooking up. Should be another guest episode with our brothers at the VOE podcast and stuff like that. So it should be
Nice.
the next another collab coming up with the next guest episode by the time we come back up. So we want to plug our guest socials. So Hill Classic, plug all the way, all you want to do, all the stuff that you got coming up, all the stuff that you got going on, plug away. What's the socials?
What's good, everybody? Y'all can hit me up everywhere. _Hill Classic. I got a show coming up June 30th. Me and my boy Alive Johnson, as part of EDC, are gonna be coming out and performing. My new show, the Hill Classic Show, is coming out July 11th. So stay tuned to that on the Pregame Radio Network. Stay tuned for that. And that's about it. All the music, all the music is on all streaming platforms. A Love Story Chapter 2 I just dropped. It's out on all streaming platforms. Please go check that out.
Definitely recommend.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me, for real.
Bro,
this was fun.
It was fun. This is a good recommendation for a person who never seen this before. Man, I got caught up in the drama, so you was right. This is a perfect episode to check out.
I could always show you a show that you never watched and show you the episode you need to watch to get into the show.
I believe it.
I've always been on that.
We've had guests just like this before. Like the previous guest hit us. We was doing Ben 10, and we hit like a season 6, and Maurice had hopped into it, and it gave like the full aspect on what you could go back and watch. Like, we like episodes that you could bring in a person at any point in time and be like, "Oh, this shit's spicy, you know." You could go back into the original and find
right. Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
Good stuff.
Definitely. So we got an email set up as well. We got at blerdbynature@gmail.com, Facebook and Instagram at Blerd By Nature, Twitter at Blerd By Nature, nature spelled Naure. Co-host, hit us with the YouTube.
You can find us on YouTube by searching for Blerd By Nature Podcast.
Yup. And at this time point, we got our episode just dropped with Sir Wilkins of X-Men is Out, where we talked all the big hot debates of X-Men, Team Wolverine, Team Cyclops, Jean Grey for the street, stuff like that. So that was a good one. Check that one out. We still working on all our drop. We got a heavy backlog that we still dropping as the time goes on.
Joey was definitely the Jean Grey of this show.
Oh boy, what?
Without a doubt.
Man, so many. I'm telling you,
just for the streets.
Right. I'm telling you, we cooking up with these titles. There's so many titles to work on here. Scott, fuck out of here. Scotty doesn't know. Yo, like shit's fire off of that shit. But anyways, do we have any last notes from the group before I hit this outro?
Nah, we good. Appreciate y'all for having me once again. Yes, sir.
All right, so thanks for joining us today from Black Thought to Nerd Power. This is Nicholas, Mr. Go With The Flow.
And this is the man with the plan, Maurice.
And our guest,
Mr. Hill Classic.
Yeah, this was another edition of the Blerd By Nature Podcast.
Thank you for listening, everyone. And until next time, peace.
Peace.
Peace.